So hello again. I am Dawn Cater, Instructional Specialist for Career Readiness. So today I'm going to talk to you about the military. There are 6 military services now. One service just stood up December of 2019, and I'll talk to you about that a little bit more into the briefing. My best advice right now is to do your due diligence in order to select the service that is right for you. You really have to consider what your goals are, what your likes and dislikes are in order to determine which service will fit you the best, because there's different pros and cons for each service. So there's a couple of options. So coming right out of high school, you'll go into the military as enlisted, which means you'll be a private. There are ways to get advanced promotion. When you first go in, you go in as a E1, which is enlisted first level. If you take junior ROTC in high school, each service has a required number of years or let levels that you have to complete in order to get advanced promotion, which means you can go in as a enlisted level 2 or even enlisted level 3, which basically just means more money. The other option, which I talked about yesterday, is going as an officer. And so that was part of the military and college briefing. So if you're thinking about joining the military after high school, the very first question you need to ask yourself is, do I want to go full-time or part-time? Because there is a significant difference. And again, you have to do some soul searching to determine which one is best for you. If active duty, you're full-time. It means you get stationed somewhere. You could be close to home. It could be far away from home, but you are full-time. So basically, it's your 9 to 5 quote unquote job. You do have all the benefits of the military 24/7. The difference with reserves or National Guard, and for National Guard, you have Army National Guard or you have the Air National Guard, which falls under the Air Force. All the other services do have their own reserve unit. So that's part-time, okay? That means your medical and dental and all the other benefits are part-time. So it only matters when you are on active status, which is your weekend drill, or when you are in training for the 1 or 2 weeks or however many weeks that you're required to go through your annual training in your service. That is when you're considered on active status, and that is when all your benefits apply to you as they would if you were on active duty. So hypothetically, let's say it's your weekend to go to your drill, and God forbid on the way to the drill you have a car accident. Okay, your medical bills will be covered by the military because you were on active status at that time. Let's say Monday, Tuesday comes around and you're going to school or you're going to your full-time job. God forbid you have an accident. The military is not required to cover any of your bills because you are not on active status at that time. That means you were not on duty with the military. Now you can purchase insurance to cover you, but that's additional money that you have to put out. So just be aware of the difference between active and reserves. So regardless of what you're going to go into, you're required to do the ASVAB, which is a aptitude test, which means they are testing your ability to learn new things. Okay. I do have the scores here, but again, you want to verify this information with a recruiter as the requirements periodically change, and the ASVAB score minimums can go up or down depending on the needs of the service at that time. So just so you understand, there's no military knowledge needed to take the ASVAB test. The sections on the exam include 2 math, which are arithmetic, reasoning, and math knowledge, 2 English, which is paragraph comprehension and word knowledge, general science, electronics information, auto and shop, mechanical comprehension, and there is a section for assembling products. Now, before COVID-19, our the test was given twice at our high school, and most high schools do administer the ASVAB once or twice a year. So, but you would need to contact your counselors to determine if any circumstances arise, or if anything has been set up to possibly give the ASVAB at the school. So that's something you have to talk to your counselors about. But understand this, the test given in the high school is a paper copy right now. Computer tests can be taken at the MEP station, which is the Military Entrance Processing Station. And the local one here for us is at Fort Lee. Understand, if you take the computer test, it's basically you answer the question, you click next, that question is now gone. So unlike a paper test, if you finish the section before the allotted time is up, you can always go back and change your answer or redo things, because you're like, oh wow, that wasn't right, I can change it, as long as it's before the proctor says put down your pencils. The computer test, you can't do that. Once you answer, it's gone, it's done. Also in the computer test, it adjusts. So if you answer your questions correctly, the questions get harder. Okay, so I just want to make sure you understand that. I highly recommend that until you graduate, if you can take the test at the high school or a school, I suggest you take it there. But that is just a suggestion. So let's talk about military commitment. So understand, right, when you sign your contract to join the military, you can sign a contract for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. It all depends. A lot of it depends on the job that you're getting, because you saw what the basic training requirements are, right? So after basic training, you then go to the school to learn the job that you selected in the military. The time frame for those schools vary. You may have a school where a job where the school is 4 weeks, but then you may have a job where the school is a year. Okay, so the contract for you is going to also depend on how long are you going to be in school, because you're not going to go to school for a year and then your contract is 2 years. So that means after all the money they've put into you, they get 1 year out of you before you have the right to leave. Okay, but outside of all of that, you need to know that there is a minimum service obligation, and that is 8 years. Okay, so you won't necessarily have a contract that says 8 years, but what that means is if your contract, let's say, is 4 years, okay, and at the end of the 4 years you decide, you know what, I went active duty, it's not for me, or there's situations at home where I need to be closer to home, I want to go reserves or National Guard, okay, you are still obligated for 4 more years after that 4-year contract. So you can serve those 4 years in the reserves or National Guard, and you can go longer, okay? Or if you say, you know what, I did 4 years, the military was okay, but I'm done. Okay, I don't want to do part-time. I'm done with full-time. I don't want to do anything else with the military. So you can get out, but understand that there is that 4-year obligation still hanging over your head. So let's say 2 years after you said I'm done, you get out, and for whatever reason they have a shortage, maybe in the job that you had, they can recall you to active duty to complete that minimum service obligation, okay? But let's say after 4 years you get out, you don't want to join the reserves, and 6 years go by. Well, you've met that minimum service obligation. So if they need you, they could ask you to come back, but you're not obligated to come back. So I just want to make sure you clearly understand that regardless of what your contract is for the military, there is a service obligation, but it can be split with either the Guard, the reserves, or the inactive reserves, which means you're not doing anything with the military, but for that time frame, you can be recalled. So let's talk about each service a little bit, right? So you got the Army, tagline, Army Strong. They are the oldest branch. Basic training is 10 weeks. Now the Army has a lot of places you can go to basic training, more so than the other services. And again, why? Because they do have the largest force, and so they usually have the largest number of recruits coming in, so they have to space out their basic training locations. The other thing with the Army is they also have the most career options for you to select from if you are eligible for those careers. Air Force, tagline aim high. They are the more technical service, of course, and their basic training is a little shorter than the Army, and it is in San Antonio, Texas. Now, the Coast Guard is very, very, very competitive. Okay. Why? Because they don't need as many people as the other services. So they try and filter it out a lot. You may have 100 people going to the Coast Guard basic training and they only need 40. Okay. So the simplest thing can get you removed from basic training. So you definitely have to be physically fit to go Coast Guard, because besides running, sit-ups, push-ups, you also are required to swim. Part of their entry physical fitness test and their regular annual or whatever physical fitness test, swimming is required. So if you cannot swim, don't want to swim, Coast Guard is not for you. Navy, forged by the sea, go through Great Lakes, Illinois for basic training, and they have over 60 career fields that you would be able to choose from if you are eligible. You're not going to get a choice of all the career fields because, again, your ASVAB score will dictate what career fields they offer to you. Marine Corps. Marine Corps their major role is conflict on the ground. They fall under the Navy. If you listened yesterday, if you were with me yesterday, the Marine Corps does come under the Navy, so they have the fewest career fields. So I'll give you an example. If you want to be a medical person for the Marine Corps, you have to go into the Navy, okay? Because the Navy's medical person is called corpsman, okay? And so if you are a corpsman, you can be assigned to a Marine base or a Marine unit. Marine Corps itself does not have a medical field. It comes from the Navy. So they do have the fewest career fields because they are a specified, or they have a specific job in the military. Now, the newest branch that stood up December 2019 is the Space Force. And just like the Marine Corps falls under the Navy, the Space Force falls under the Department of the Air Force. Now, currently, they haven't even been around for a year yet. So currently, the members in the Space Force are being selected from the Air Force. There are a limited number of transfers that can come from the Army and Navy. So bottom line is you can't come out of high school and join the Space Force right now. Not saying it won't change later as they establish themselves a little bit more. Okay, so additional resources, again, I've submitted the PDF of this presentation. So if you open it up, you should be able to click on the links to get to these places. So the ASVAB, if you want to see what it's all about, there's two places. You can go to the official ASVAB site, or you can do military.com, where you can see information about all the services plus practice ASVABs. At military.com, if you go to the search bar and type in ASVAB, they have options to take a short version and a long version of the ASVAB. Now bear in mind, right, for the ASVAB, I will tell you, the most important thing for you to practice or study is the English and the math. Reason being, every job in every service, English and math is going to be predominant. Okay, so if you do not do well in English and math on the ASVAB, I don't care if you get everything in general science correct or in auto shop correct. If your math and your English is below the required score or standard, you're not going to score high enough to join the military. So if you don't want to practice a lot, focus on the English and the math, because either you know auto shop or you know mechanical comprehension or you don't. But everybody should be familiar with proper English and math. And the math, I would say, would be at the algebra 1, possibly 2 level. Okay, there is some geometry, but not much. But again, go to the practice ASVABs and see what it's all about. I also put down where the local recruiters are for this area, and you can Google them, look them up to access them, especially now since they're not able to come to the schools and specifically talk to students. So that's all I have. Again, you feel free to contact me. Just please be aware that physical fitness is critical. The more in shape you are prior to basic training, the easier it will be. And if you are not sure which service you want to join, again, speak to the recruiters and do your due diligence and your research. I wish you all the best of luck. Stay healthy and stay safe.